President Trump and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi publicly went after each other yesterday. I'm Laura Podesta with the latest on the drama and the war of words taking place in the Capitol.
A World War II veteran who was lost to time finally is returning home to Bozeman.
We start off with some breaking news here at 6:30 here on your Friday morning. British Prime Minister Theresa May has announced that she is resigning. CBS's Ian Lee has our latest.
I do so with no ill will, but with enormous and enduring gratitude to have had the opportunity to serve the country I love.
British Prime Minister Theresa May says she'll step down on Friday, June 7th.
So I am today announcing that I will resign as leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party.
May has struggled to unite British Parliament around a Brexit deal with the European Union.
It is and will always remain a matter of deep regret to me that I have not been able to deliver Brexit. It will be for my successor to seek a way forward that honours the result of the referendum.
It's now up to party lawmakers to choose a new prime minister. May is only the second female to hold the office.
I will shortly leave the job that it has been the honour of my life to hold.
British citizens say the next leader will have his or her hands tied as they try to work out a plan for the United Kingdom to leave the EU.
Until we start to agree, we can't amend or change or do anything, and we're stuck in this deadlock.
Britain is due to leave the EU on October 31st. Several Conservative lawmakers have already said they will run to replace May. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
Now, when May officially does step down, she will have been in office just 3 short years. And President Trump heads to Japan later today. He is leaving behind a nasty back and forth between House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, as well as an escalation of his desire to investigate the investigators. CBS's Laura Podesta explains.
President Trump is directing the intelligence community to cooperate with Attorney General William Barr as Barr looks into the origins of the Russia investigation. In a statement, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders said Barr has complete authority to declassify information pertaining to this investigation.
So I've been under a phony investigation.
The president mentioned the probe at a White House event with farmers on Thursday.
A lot of people want to find out. I think it started moments after I came down that beautiful escalator in Trump Tower.
Democratic House Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler tells MSNBC the president is chasing an imaginary scandal.
It's part of the Trump and Republican plot to dirty up the intelligence community, to pretend that there's something wrong with the beginning of the Muller investigation.
Meanwhile, President Trump says he won't work with Democrats unless they drop their investigations into him.
Crazy Nancy.
And he continued his war of words with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
I wish that his family or his administration or his staff would have an intervention.
When I watched Nancy all moving, the movement and the hands and the craziness.
His take on himself, a quote that quickly went viral.
I'm an extremely stable genius. Okay.
Both sides now have a chance to reset. The president is leaving for a 2-day trip to Japan later today. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
Nadler also told MSNBC that Special Counsel Robert Mueller wants to testify in private in order to avoid a political spectacle after more than a year of silence. Now, if this does happen, the public would see a transcript of that testimony. Chet joins me now at 6:33 here on this gorgeous Friday morning.
Not too bad right now.
The birds are liking it. There's worms for them to find.
They were telling me the weather was for them.
Yep.
For the birds.
It is for the
actually,
birds.
it's a little damp out there right now. We'll see more of that as we go on. Here's what it looks like. Some rain showers in the eastern part of the state. Chilly temperatures right now. Wind chill in West Yellowstone right at 29 degrees. So, yeah, still reminiscent of a Memorial Day weekend. Taking a look at your forecast for today. Upper 50s for the Bozeman area, mid 50s for the Butte area. Some thunder showers possible this afternoon, and some of those will linger into the weekend. Detailed Memorial Day forecast coming up in 10 minutes.
Thank you for that, Chet. Now 6:34. Here's an interesting story. A World War II soldier finally makes his way back to Montana. MTN's Cody Boyer has the story of Private William Bogley and his journey home.
Private William Bogley was killed in action 1944 while protecting those who were running out to save the wounded. All these decades later, his family got to see him come home.
He was from Sedan, Montana, farm boy. Montana boy that became a hero.
Private William Bogley's story started and ended near the Philippines. A soldier in the U.S. Army. His nephew, Don McHenry, says it was September 30th, 1944.
They wanted to capture this island to make a jumping off point to invade the Philippines.
Except trouble.
Well, after 380-some people were killed, they decided it wasn't worth it.
All the while, men carrying stretchers to help the wounded ran into the fray. Private Bogley, Don's Uncle Bill, volunteered to guard them, an act that Don retold to a room full of military, friends, and family.
Montana has that mindset. They're willing to do whatever it takes.
But then, for all intents and purposes, he disappeared.
He was killed on September 30th, 1944, and they buried him at that time there. Then they dug him up in 1947 and tried to identify remains. I think his number was XP 3008.
In 1995, after being transported and buried at Fort McKinley, then placed in a mausoleum, the soldier's remains made it to Hawaii. After DNA testing, William's name became clear.
April of last year, I get a call from a lady that was a contractor for the U.S. Army. We're telling me they're trying to identify remains of missing MIAs. She said, would you be willing to talk to one of the Army guys, regular Army guys? And we said, yeah, I certainly would.
And almost exactly 74 years after his death, Don got another call. Uncle Bill was coming home. And today, by plane, Private Bogley made the trip that he should have made 7 decades ago.
Pretty special, and it's too bad that my mother and her brothers didn't get to know that. They didn't know what happened to him. He could have been buried in Arlington with the caissons and the whole 9 yards, but we chose to have him buried here.
Why?
This is where he was born and raised.
Farm boy, uncle, soldier, hero. A fitting set of titles for a man whose return was long overdue.
Just never leave up hope and honor the veterans, because they gave up a lot for us.
In Bozeman, Cody Boyer, MTN News.
Private Bogley was also awarded the Purple Heart and the Silver Star for his gallantry while serving. His funeral is set for Saturday in Gallatin Valley. Cody did a great job on that story. And the man accused of injuring 3 people with a knife outside of a Butte convenience store back in March appeared finally in court yesterday. Zachariah Mickens pleaded not guilty to 3 counts of felony assault with a weapon after stabbing 3 men outside the store off of Montana Street on March 26th. All 3 victims survived that attack. Mickens remains in jail. And a Bozeman woman is in trouble after police say she was caught drunk driving on the freeway. According to court documents, Kelly Foley's car was weaving between lanes headed west on I-90 on Wednesday night. Montana Highway Patrol troopers say her car was also involved in a hit and run just a short time before this. When Foley was pulled over, she had a blood alcohol content of .325. This was her first offense and misdemeanor, so her bail was only set at $1,000. And finally, as the trade war continues between the U.S. and China, farmers in Montana are struggling under the financial strain of lost export markets and 5 years of commodity falling prices. Now, as a result, the Trump administration has announced a second round of assistance to U.S. farmers. MTN's Russell Nemitz has all of our details.
Well, after a lot of speculation, the Trump administration has unveiled a new $16 billion trade aid program for U.S. farmers hurt financially by the ongoing trade war with China. During remarks at the White House, the president said he's defending American farmers from unjustified trade retaliation.
So we will ensure that our farmers get the relief they need, and very, very quickly. It's a good time to be a farmer. We're going to make sure of that. So today I'm announcing that I have directed Secretary Perdue to provide $16 billion in assistance to America's farmers and ranchers. It all comes from China.
Highlights of the second trade mitigation package include $14.5 billion in direct payments to farmers based on the county-based payment rate for their planted acreage for 2019. This is to avoid planting distortions by requiring farmers to plant a crop this spring. Agriculture Secretary Sonny Perdue praised the president for supporting U.S. farmers, but Montana Grain Growers Association President Lyle Benjamin of Sunburst told me farmers like him would rather have higher market prices instead of government payments.
It's nice that the president recognizes the significant damage that's happening as part of this, but at the end of the day, really what we want is our trade deals to open back up again and our market to flow unhindered. I think that most Montana farmers would say we can get far more out of the market than we can out of a government aid package.
Under the second trade mitigation package, the new payments will be capped at the total amount of eligible acreage a farmer planted last year. Eligible crops in our region include alfalfa hay, barley, canola, corn, pulses, soybeans, and wheat. And USDA says payments could start as early as July or August. In Billings, Russell Nemitz, MTN News.
Thank you so much for joining us here on your Friday morning. It's 6:40 and we have to take a quick break.